Commodore Vanderbilt. And you know what he did to make all that money? Railroads. So so those kids of him would be considered what? Lucky Sperm Club. They were born into wealth. So one of his sons goes to North Carolina and builds the largest house in America as a bachelor. He's 31 years old. And this house has X number of bedrooms, has a room for everything. Before dinner, you go sit in this room and talk, and then you go in this room and smoke cigars, and then you go in this room and talk, and then you look at this, and then you finally make it around to the dinner room, which holds about 100 and something people. Their dining room holds about 100 and something guests. So this guy builds this house at 31 years old just because he's rich. And he's a bachelor, not even married. He don't have any family. Builds the largest house in America, and there's nobody even in there to live in it, except him. So he quickly finds a wife. Go figure that out, right? Within 3 years, he's married. Now he's got a wife, and moves on. The next generation, his son inherits his house, and his accountants come to him and say, "Look, this is sucking money out of the company, out of our family. This is nothing but one huge liability. There's no need for you to have a house this big." And Cecil Vanderbilt says, "I'm not selling it." They're like, "No, turn it into a subdivision. It's in the mountains. You'll make a fortune." He's like, "I'm not selling it. I'm going to put $35 million into it, and I'm going to take this liability and turn it into an asset. I'm going to open up for everybody to come see my house." And now, would you know that up to 10,000 people a day pay money to go walk through that house? A day. You everybody with me? Imagine having a house so cool that I pay like $200 something for me and my wife to go through it. And they talk about every single room, and it'll blow your mind. This is back in the 1800s. Indoor swimming pool, the only indoor swimming pool in the country. And it's down deep in the bottom of the thing, on bowling alley. Go back to the 1800s and imagine this. We're not talking about in modern day times here, guys. We're talking about they were so far ahead of what they built in this house that it's ridiculous. So he spends $35 million, refurbishes it, opens it up to the public, and it becomes this huge profit center. 5 generations later, the Vanderbilts are still running it. They kept it in the family. 2,400 employees. It takes 2,400 employees to run that place. That's the gardens, everything. It's amazing. So now it's a place you go. Now, I guess what I'm telling you here is they inherited that money. They didn't start at zero. They started with a bunch of money. Everybody with me here? So here's my question. This is this animalistic, carnivorous drive in a person to see something and have the drive and willingness to go get it and fight through the adversity of it. So if you come to work here and you don't have it, how can I elicit it in you? How can I pull it out of you? Can I pull it out of you? Because I see people every single day that have potential that we can't pull it out of them, right? We beg them, we plead with them, we offer to pay them more money, give them better deals, whatever the deal may be. Don't change. Nothing changes. It's almost as if we can't activate their prey drive. Then I see some people come in and like a dog on a bone, they have a tremendous prey drive about them. It's like we can't even slow them down. You follow me? So for you, how do I instill this in you? So I want you to think about this. Here's your current state right here, wherever you are in life. This is your current state. Your desire is either going to be greater, your desire to stay the same is either going to win out, or your desire to be this is going to win out. Only one of those two things are going to win out. Okay? But we don't know which one's going to win out until you really, really, really get pushed. Till you really, really, really... Like I've been studying mastery lately. And the reason a lot of people don't master anything is because in today's world, they want cotton candy. If they don't get results in a 30, 60, 90-day, one-year cycle, they just give up. And so what do? Jump on something else, start it, go 30, 60, 90 days, a year, give up, quit, start something new. Mastery is on the other side of 10 years, typically, right? 10,000 hours of practice. It's never in the beginning. You don't master something when you first start. So people that master things are willing to fight through the drudgery, like they're willing to do whatever it takes. They typically have strong mentors. They've watched a master work, okay, for a number of years. So how do I activate that prey drive in you?
To know what motivates you.
Okay, now here's a question. I'm glad you said that. Some people will posit to you that if you find your why, you'll automatically activate the prey drive. Now, I coach a lot of people, and some of them have found their purpose, and they still don't work any harder than they did before they found it. Does that make sense? Like they have supposedly found their why. But there's no shift at all in their gear. You know what I was on my team about this morning? Getting in shape. I spent my whole sales meeting telling my team, I'm sick of people being sick, sick of people not being, they can't operate at optimal. We're sitting there trying to sell optimum performance, and we got people in our own team that can't even get in shape. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're not in shape, guess what you don't have? Oxygen don't flow to your brain properly. You don't have energy. You can't fight through a long day. When you get adversity, the very first words out of your mouth is, I'm overwhelmed. I can't handle all this. Well, let's start physically by helping you build a bigger retention system. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Let's start there. Let's start by getting your butt up in the morning and doing something to get your mind in a place that your body can attack. Get your body in a place that it can attack a day. Let's start with your physical self, because when you change your physical state, what happens? Your confidence goes up, energy goes up, ability to solve problems goes up. Start there, right? Because what I said, here's the deal. I can't even operate your prey drive because I'm listening to you talk about how overwhelmed you are every day. You can't be overwhelmed and activate prey drive at the same time. Everybody with me? Okay? It's like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed because your capacity is low, and your capacity is low because you're not in optimal performance level, right? So I want you to think about that. So I've started thinking about this. I call this a dominant focus. A dominant focus is a single tangible outcome you would like to drive in a concentrated period of time. It is clear, it is vivid, and I think it has some type of an emotional pull to you. And the reason I like these concepts of 90-day burst is because I believe in a 90-day cycle, you can fight through a lot of things if there's an emotional pull. Like next month, I'm going to speak on a stage in front of 10,000 people. So I'm willing to get in the gym and work out and lose weight because I want to be in my best shape when I do that. Does that make sense? If I was speaking 5 years down the road, then I may be, well, I got time, I don't have to go this hard. I have found that when I put something in front of me 90 days in the future that's really big, then I will fight through the short-term adversity to have it. If I gave it to you in a year, you probably don't, right? There's something 90 days. So if you don't have this, then guess what you do? We just revert back to our current state. If I have something big, activates my prey drive gets involved, I push toward it because there's something over here I want. And I want it so bad I can visually see it. It's vivid, it's clear, I'm moving toward it. I'm willing to be a disciple to the future. I'm willing to fight through the short-term adversity. I'm willing to activate this to go have that be. Does that make sense? Most people don't have a be though, do they? So a few weeks ago I went to a workshop. What about them Alabama Roll Tide last night, man. Now, always, let me tell you something, guys. Always, listen, if you hadn't learned anything, always bet on Saban. What does a man have to do for you to figure that out? Huh? What's he got to do? Good Lord. You think they know how to activate their prey drive? I guarantee there's certain phrases he can say to those players that activate it. Certain key phrases, certain ways that he looks at them, certain things he says.
I heard on the radio this morning that he tells his new recruits that he guarantees if they stay with him for 3 years, they'll win the national championship.
Yeah. Now imagine that. And have the highest percentage of people going to the NFL. What if I told you that? Just stick with me. What if I told you stick with me and I make you a multimillionaire? But you got to stick with me for 4 years. You follow me? What if I could prove it over and over and over and over again? You'd be willing to fight through some short-term adversity to have it, wouldn't you? See what I'm saying? See what I saw last night when I'm watching that game? These people are masters. These people are masters at activating this. Even Kirby Smart, which is a disciple of Saban's, when they lost that game earlier this year, he went around and told every single person that would interact with his players, do not mention that loss. Told the cafeteria staff, he told every person, don't even talk about it. If I catch you talking about it, you're fired. He would not even let them talk about when they lost. Like, because a lot of people go, well, sorry you lost the game. See what I'm saying? He went to every person those players would interact with and said, don't even mention it. Not one time do you mention us losing that game after he lost it. See how they're controlling that prey drive? So my point to you is, a few weeks ago, I went and saw the #1 image expert in the world, supposedly #1 image expert in the world. He hadn't written a book. He's not on Facebook. His name is Bob Samara, and he's 70 years old, and you wouldn't know him. I didn't know him before I went to this event. But guess where he spent ages 1 to 4? He spent ages 1 to 4 as a kid in the Oklahoma Sooners locker room. Guess what they didn't do from 1 to 4 when he was 1 to 4 years old? They didn't lose one ball game. Can you imagine your kid being raised in an environment where they're listening to coaches and nothing but winning? He started talking about an atmosphere of success, being an atmosphere of success. 18 years old, from 1 to 4, it's programmed in his brain. We don't lose. We don't lose. We don't lose. We don't lose. We only win. 18 years old, he enrolls in the military. Guess which job they gave him? They gave him a job called the War Dog Division. Anybody know what the War Dogs did in the military? They were trained killing machines that went ahead of the unit to make sure there were no bombs and booby traps and snipers. Now, how would you like that job every day? The most dangerous position, because you're even in front of the people with the guns. You're going ahead of them to make sure they don't. And if those people got shot, those dogs were trained. It's amazing. The dogs would actually grab a hold of their uniforms and carry them back to their home base and save their life. Isn't that amazing? The relationship they built with that dog. So if they got shot and the dog sensed that they were in danger, the dog would grab a hold of this part right here and drag that person back to home base. So this guy, Bob Samara, that's what he did in the military. Now, how tough would you be if every day you had to wake up and convince yourself psychologically that today you wasn't dying? What kind of mental game would you have to play with yourself every day to know one step in the wrong direction? Right? Ah, man. So for the next 30 or 40 years, this is all he does is work on people's mind. And guess what he works on? Change. How to change a person. How to make a person change. And guess what he tries to elicit? This one thing right here. So he went around the room and he asked them, what's your B? He calls it B. I call it dominant focus. So he would say, what do you want your life to be? And go around the room and go around the room, and all of us said some pitiful answer like we want to change the world, and we want to, inspire people. And he would just sit there and look at us and go, it's too vague. If you have a vague B, what happens? You have a vague life. If you have a vague B, that means a future state, then you take vague action toward that. If you have a clear B, which is a single tangible outcome you would like to drive, then you take specific intentional actions toward that B. Okay? So I gave him, a crappy answer like everybody else did because I didn't understand what the question was. I said, change lives, inspire people, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, pitiful. It's pitiful. And then, it was an old war veteran, so from time to time he'd just get all worked up and say, these motivational bozos, they don't know anything. Talking about motivational speakers. Cartoon characters, they don't know anything about what I do. And he scared my wife to death, by the way. She was scared. I'm over there like, man, I love this guy. She's like, I'm freaked out by this guy. Well, he came back to me a little while later, and this is really the point I want to drive home to you. He came back to me later in the deal after I really understand where we were going with this. And he said, he went back around 4 hours into it. And he said, what's your B? People still said, I don't know. Even my own wife said, I don't have a B. I don't know what my B is. I don't know what I'm working toward. I don't know what my dominant focus is. And he got to me. I was the very last one. He said, what's your B? And I said, Bob, my B is 866,666.67 per month. Times 12, that is $10.4 million. And I was that precise with it. And when I said that to him, he's like, now you understand. See how clear that is? Every person in this room should have a B that can be tangible and measurable. So let me give an example. You're like, I don't know what my B is. If I don't know what my B is, what do I get up and do every day? I'm not working toward anything. What's Saban's B? How many championships does he need to win?
None, no more.
No, but here's the deal.
The next one?
How many? Now, there's a game he's playing here. You just ain't figured it out. There's only one other coach that has more championships than him.
Tied right now.
He's tied right now. Which one is it? Who is it? So they're tied. So Saban is not number one yet in his mind. He's not number one till he has more championships than everybody else does. You understand what I mean? Jeff Bezos goes back and forth between being the second richest person in the world and the richest person in the world. And he goes back and forth. Every move he makes, don't ever misunderstand this. Every move he makes is to be the richest person in the world. Everybody understand what I'm saying? He's got clarity. So I go home with my wife and I go, I understand you don't have a B. Let's put it into terms where you can measure it. Okay, we've got 3 rental properties. I want a tangible number that you're going to drive in revenue for those 3 for each property. I want dedicated time every single day in your office to work on renting those properties to hit that number. I said, you're in charge of all the hospitality within Monster Producer. I want to know how many people you're going to entertain this year in Monster Producer. How many events are we going to have? How many people should be at those events? And I want a clear B. She wanted this. She's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, let's get clarity about what your B is. Because right now, everything's vague. I want the exact, you tell me you want to lose weight, you're working out 2 times a day, I want to know exactly how many pounds you want to lose, exactly what weight you want to be. You understand what I'm saying? You need to get clear about why you're taking the actions you're taking every day. If not, you just wake up and just, how do I know if I'm achieving any type of success if I'm not measuring it? Everybody follow me? You need to know exactly how many homes you're going to build, exactly how much revenue you're going to have, exactly how much investor money you're going to bring in. You need to be able to answer that question like I've answered it. Everybody follow me here? But you need your own personal B too. You need to know what you're, because if not, we all contract and retreat back to our current state. And if it's not vivid enough, we don't do it. So here would be my question I'll kind of want to leave with you is how can you justify going back to your current state when you know you got a lot more in the tank than what you're showing? How can you justify that to yourself? How long can you justify? How long are you going to justify it? Right? How long are you going to justify this to yourself? That's what I tell people. You need to be challenging your own self. Bob Samara was right. When you have clarity about this one thing, everything changes. Because now, does this solve my time management issue? Yes or no? See, this solves everything. See, when I know where I'm going, then I step back and I go, there is a high value of my time and there is a low value of my time. High value moves me closer to that. Low value moves me away from it. So why do I need to be doing it? I don't need to be doing it. I work with this guy that's a real estate guru in Mount Juliet. You'd probably know him if I mentioned his name. Probably makes a couple $1,000,000 a year. And I am so impressed with how disciplined he is with his time. I'll ask him to do something, and he'll say, Coach, I'd love to do that, but really don't fit in the box that moves me closer to my dominant focus. And I've only got so much bandwidth in a day, and really all my time is spent in helping these people on my team get to their B. And if I come do that for you, it's really going to pull away from them. I mean, his priorities are so clear. You see what I'm saying? I say yes to a lot of things I need to say no to. I let people pull me and drag me into conversations I have no business being in. I need to get more disciplined, right? You think Saban's disciplined about his time? You think the people at the highest level are disciplined about their time? Do you think they have clarity about their B? Yes or no? So the question is, I disagree with a lot of people. I don't believe because you find your why that your engine comes along with it. And what I mean by an engine, and I mean an engine big enough to keep going. See, I was fussing on my team this morning because I'm saying you need a bigger engine. You need to quit using the words overwhelmed and go to work on your engine, your prey drive. You understand what I mean? Your instinct to go get it. So this year, I want you thinking about this, guys. You guys as a team need to have clarity. It's not one thing for Jason to come up with get clarity about dominant focus and you don't buy into it, or you halfway buy into it, or you somewhat buy into it, or you don't believe it's possible. I set really ridiculous goals, and most of the time my team don't believe we can reach them. And then somehow, magically, it ends up we reach them, and then I go back to them and I say, no, you told me that we couldn't do that this year. Remember when you told me we couldn't do it, right? And then we did it. So why shouldn't I set another ridiculous goal for 2018? Why can't a person go from 2.4 million to 10.4 million? Why can't they? Because somebody somewhere said we can only grow 30% next year. Does that make sense? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a limit. Okay. So how many people think they need to go work on their B? Get clarity about their B. Okay. Because you know what the enemy of prey drive is? Complacency. Comfort. Right? That's the enemy of prey drive. And some of you have suppressed your prey drive. I don't want to do that with my daughter. My daughter, I think, has a little bit of me and a little bit of her mama. And her mama is the colors inside the lines, and I'm the one that breaks all the rules, you know? So it's a beautiful balance. But I'll catch myself telling my daughter, slow down, be careful, don't hurt yourself. And then I go, man, why am I suppressing her? That instinctual desire to go out and explore the world and get it, right? She's going to hear that her whole life from her teachers. She don't need to hear it from me. She needs to hear, go get it, girl. You right? Go get what you want. So are you clear? Let me finish with this. Are you clear about what your dominant focus is this year as Superior? Are you clear about the dominant focus, what it is? Jason, what do you think?
I think so.
Okay. Is everybody on board with it? Everybody believes it's attainable, right? So we know what got us here won't get us there. We know that, right? We know what got us the results we got last year. Those same things cannot be used to get us to a new result this year. There has got to be a break with something, right? I'm constantly asking my team, look, I know what did us last year. There's something's got to shift. Like I'm doing click funneling now. Let's give us an example. I believe my internet, I believe I ought to be selling $1 million a year online. I mean, click funneling, products, online academies, but nobody on my team knows how to do it. So I just had to go out and hire the guy who knows how to do it. And I said, I believe we ought to be selling $1 million online. You know what he said to me? Can't do it. I said, you're supposed to be one of the best guys in the world. You know what he said to me? Can't do $1 million. He said, you're thinking too small. He said, I'm thinking more along the lines of 15 million. I said, that's my guy, right? Now I'm talking. Because we got all these assets over here that nobody knows how to activate. So you know what they're doing? Just sitting over there hanging out doing nothing. Because I didn't go out and get the person I needed who could do it. You follow me? Well, now I got him. So now he's going to help us with there. So for you, that's a shift in my strategy from last year to this year. I would be asking you, what's your couple shifts? We're going to bring this product out. We're going to do this. We're going to try these strategies. Then they're different than what we did last year. Because what we did last year got us to that result, and it was all good. We had a great year, right? But remember I'll finish on this one. Remember when Saban won a championship a few years ago and they interviewed him after the game and he was irritated? He's mad after he just wins a national championship. And you know what he said, Javier? He said, they were like, Coach Saban, you know? He said, man, I'm just so frustrated right now because these other coaches that weren't playing in the national championship game have got a head start on me on recruiting for next year. Now listen to that statement. He just won a national championship and he's mad because the people who weren't playing in the national championship game got to start recruiting faster than he did. That's how his mind works, man. He's constantly working on the next play. You follow what I'm saying here? It ain't enough. It ain't good enough. Whatever he did in the past, he don't care. He's already moved to the next thing after he just won the biggest thing of the whole year. Some people would just retire after that. He's already thinking about building a bigger house before his last one's even built. You see how his mind's thinking? That's why he's at the top of his game, man. And whether you like him or not, you got to respect it. You got to respect the process, okay? So we're going to have a big year this year, right? Okay, pray drive. All right, guys, have a good lunch. Thank you.